If you don't know where to start, it can be overwhelming, even paralyzing. So let's fix that. Welcome to Simply Cyber, a community of tens of thousands of aspiring and active cybersecurity professionals focused on networking, knowledge sharing, and professional development. I'm Dr. Gerald, Auger, Chief Content Creator at Simply Cyber, inviting you to get the answers to your cybersecurity problems with hundreds of cybersecurity videos answering your frequently asked questions, interviewing industry experts, and live streaming daily cyber threat briefings hosted by me. Now get the stories and insights you won't find anywhere else. Hit subscribe now and dig into all the fresh content on the channel and in the community. Nothing should stop you from launching and leveling up your cybersecurity career today. Hi, what's cracking, everybody? Happy Friday morning. Today is May 31st, end of the week, end of the month, end of all of it. We're going to be straight crushing it today, launching the Simply Cyber's Daily Cyber Threat Brief. First thing, bright and early this morning. Good morning, everybody. I am your host, Dr. Gerald Auger, and over the next hour, me, Laura Flores, Jesse Johnson, B-Sec from the turntables, Kimberly Can Fix It from the salon, Kathy Chambers coming in, Hot Space Tacos. Oh my God, Nerman, so many great people. Kayla Sturgeon from the Air Force bringing in the heat. John Hoyt at the airport in Japan. We are dropping bombs, everybody. Good morning. We're going to be shredding the top cybersecurity news stories of the day, and I'll be giving my expert opinion and analysis on each of those stories, on what it means to you as a practitioner. So how can you use this information to drive cyber risk reduction? And if you're looking to break into the industry, you're going to get massive value from the stream because you're going to answer the question, how do you stay current in the industry? Boom. You're going to learn macro level concepts and current events and stuff like that and start to see patterns and trends. And hello, the networking with the Simply Cyber community is absolutely chef's kiss, top notch. It is so hot.
That Hansel's so hot right now.
So stay tuned. We got a great show for you. Just a reminder, I don't prep or research for any of these stories, and I'm going double time today because Two Thumbs and All Smiles is chaperoning my son's field trip at 9 a.m. this morning, so I got to boogie out of here like a boss. I'm working hard. I'm playing hard. Let's go. Shout out to the stream sponsors before we get into it, starting with Barricade Cyber Solutions. Guys, you know, spam those buttons if you got them, squad members. Barricade Cyber Solutions is dedicated to helping businesses from cyber attacks and what else? Recover from the damage done. Why? Because cyber attacks can cause massive issues for businesses and send dedicated, hardworking business owners into turmoil. So what do? Barricade Cyber Solutions knows what to do. They know how to mitigate the damage done by cyber incidents and yeet threat actors out the environment. Check them out at barricadecyber.com. No rest for the weary. Straight crush it, homie. Also want to say shout out and love to Antisyphon Training. Why is this red banner like so huge? Red banner. Listen, shout out to Antisyphon Training. Antisyphon Training is disrupting the traditional cybersecurity training industry by providing high-quality, cutting-edge education to everyone, like you, Megan Gray, like you, Cybertron, like you, Haircut Fish and Tom Bishop, Isaiah Morris, everybody, regardless of financial position. So get in here, get practical skills taught by industry-leading professionals in a fun and inclusive way. I myself will be signing up. If you want to know, on June 20th, I will be taking Wade Wells' Cyber Threat Intelligence 101. Wade Wells was my guest yesterday, a.k.a. Wading Through Logs, a.k.a. Left Coast Wade. And I want to take his class, so I'll be signing up. I have the bandwidth. It's going to be all about good time, so I'm super pumped. Go to antisyphontraining.com and check out all the training there. And I want to give a special shout-out to John Strand's course right here, Getting Started with Security in Black Hills and MITRE ATT&CK. MITRE ATT&CK is a dope framework. John Strand is an amazing instructor, and you can take this course for $0. It starts June 10th. Don't sleep on this. Too late will be the cry when John Strand and his amazing education has passed you by. So get in on that. Let's go. All right, guys, every episode of the Simply Cyber Daily Cyber Threat Brief is worth half a CPE. Half a CPE. Oh, my God, Jerry, I don't get out of bed for less than one CPE. Hold on, my friend, because I got to tell you, Every single episode is worth half a CPE. So if you show up on the regular, you will have CPEs for days. You will have so many CPEs, you'll be running and CPEs will be falling out of your arms and you won't even care to stop and pick them up because you'll have so many CPEs by the end of the year. Say what's up in chat, grab a screenshot. You can see it'll be right there on stream. Hashtag Team SC if you're looking for something to drop because you are a member of the Simply Cyber community, my friend. And basically, it'll be time-stamped with the file creation date. Count the number of screenshots at the end of the year, divide by 2. That's your CPEs. It is so easy. It's ridiculous. It's like a cheat code. That's what's up. All right, guys. We got a great show for you. It's Friday, so it's it's Grayson's Joke of the Week, presented by James McQuiggan at 35,000 feet. We have jaw-jacking at the end of the stream. People really, really resonated with the panel. Jaw-jacking. It was a lot of fun last week with Tyler Ramsey. We're going to be rolling it back again. We got a great panel for you today, some special guests. So stay tuned. You won't want to miss it. Believe me. All right, guys. If it's your first episode here, drop a hashtag first timer in chat. If Jack Scott is here, drop a hey, what's up, Jax, in chat. All right, guys, settle in, sit back, relax, get your coffee, and let's get into the news. Boom! I'm on the speed. I'm on the accelerated path today. Choo choo! Let's go.
From the CISO series, it's cybersecurity headlines.
These are the cybersecurity headlines for Friday, May 31st, 2024. I'm Rich Straffolino. Senator calls for United Health leadership to be held responsible. In recent years, we've seen increasing legal responsibility thrust onto CISOs, from the SolarWinds Orion supply chain attack to the guilty verdict of former Uber CISO Joe Sullivan. We've seen criticism about why the buck stops with the CISO. That might be changing, as U.S. Senator Ron Wyden sent a letter to the FTC and SEC calling on senior executives and directors from United Health Group to be held responsible for reckless decisions leading up to its high-profile ransomware attack back in February. Wyden specifically called out hiring of CISO Stephen Martin as negligent, saying he never previously worked full-time in a cybersecurity role. The letter said it would be unfair to scapegoat Mr. Martin, with the responsibility falling on the leadership that appointed him.
All right. So a couple things here. One, I find it okay. So a couple things here. One, remember Change Healthcare. It says United Health, but this is the same as the Change Healthcare thing. Massive issue for the United States, basically. I won't get into all the details. If you don't know about this story, go check it out. It was a ransomware attack. Significant impact to hundreds of thousands of people and businesses. Some people died. I mean, this was like serious crap. And basically the CEO got dragged up in front of Congress and had to answer a bunch of questions. Now, at the time, first timer Tyson Martin. What's up, Tyson?
Welcome to the party, pal.
Thank you for speaking in chat, Tyson. See how easy it is, everybody? If you're first time here, don't be shy. Say what's up. Okay, so check it out. Listen. CEO got brought up. At the time, I was like, oh, this is a dog and pony show. How often does, the people who were actually impacted get held accountable? Well, I mean, there's a little bit of execution coming here, right? Ron Wyden out of Oregon. Nick Barker in the house, ladies and gentlemen, wants leadership to be held accountable. Now, hey, Mono Julian with the super chat.
Did we just become best friends?
Yep.
Good day, everyone. Just finished taking the GRC masterclass. Now studying for CISP. What do you call a small locker? Shrink locker. Very good. Thank you, Mono Julian. So I want to point out two things here. One, the bigger picture thing here is I will be interested to see if this sets a precedent. He's basically saying that the leadership at the company, not the CISO specifically, but the leadership that hired the CISO and put him in place. Now, whether this is a board or the executive team, should be held accountable. Tell me what held accountable means. Are they going to be fined? Ooh, like it's a multi-billion-dollar company. What kind of fine is actually going to move their needle? Are they going to be criminally charged? I don't know, but we saw with the Uber CISO and Joseph Sullivan, he was criminally charged, never served time, but I mean, he was criminally charged and his punishment was like time served or whatever. So there is an interesting precedent that could be set here. Now, at a micro level, in a snarky, a-hole level here, and sorry, Kennedy, I think it's hilarious that entry-level roles in cybersecurity, entry-level require 3 to 5 years, and that's been the big like joke is like, oh, entry-level, got to have 3 to 5 years. And in this instance, it's a CISO for a multi-billion-dollar company, and it required 0 years experience, right? Like, I'm being playful. Like, I don't know this Stephen Martin CISO guy. It says he never functioned in a full-time CISO role or cybersecurity at all role. Here's what I will tell you. In the world of business, CISOs can be, come up the technical track in cyber, or they can be, business people, and they could have been like CIOs or, lawyers, and then brought over and given the role of CISO. Now, what I do want to say is typically when that happens, they can be effective because they'll typically have a really good team under them, right? You've got a director of GRC, a director of SecOps, and they just report up. And when you have that framework, it is okay to have somebody who's responsible for information security that maybe didn't come up in the trenches. Having said that, I think it's a ridiculous decision to hire someone to be a CISO who hasn't come up in the trenches. Not that we're like special snowflakes or anything, but like what we do is very important, and we cover the entire business, right? So it is a bit reckless to just put someone in place and be like, hey, you're the CISO now. But it happens all the time. In this case, I don't know this guy's background to know whether or not it was whatever. The reason you would hire or put an inexperienced CISO in is so you can control them a little bit easier, use them not as a puppet, but basically use them to, hey, we need you to sign the paperwork. We need you to be in these meetings. But like for the most part, we're going to handle this going forward. Again, I don't know United Healthcare's business plan. There is a massive merger and acquisition thing going on, consolidation in the United States around healthcare systems. So I know a lot of executives, CEOs, CFOs, COOs, their focus is on grinding and moving as quickly as possible to acquire other businesses. And honestly, CISOs like to say kind of like, can you pump the brakes on that? Because there's a lot of entanglement. Talk to BSEC about like what mergers and acquisitions look like. Maybe he'll bring that up. But my point is, I've gone through a healthcare merger and acquisition before, and it's a hot mess express. And a lot of times, we don't want friction, Jerry. We want to execute the contract and get moving. So that could be another reason why they did that. Bigger picture, we'll see what kind of precedent this sets.
Europol seizes 2,000 domains in dropper takedown. The law enforcement agency announced it carried out Operation Endgame, which targeted malware droppers used to initially...
I did say Nick Barker, Space Tacos. Nick Barker's out of Oregon, and Ron Wyden is the senator out of Oregon. That's why I said it. Glum Hippo singing your song. Let's go.
Did we just become best friends?
Yep. Get malware loaded onto systems. This saw the seizure of over 2,000 domains, 4 arrests across Armenia and Ukraine, and the release of over 13.5 million unique passwords to Have I Been Pwned. Authorities previously tied the dropper sites to use with ICE ID, SmokeLoader, and TrickBot. German authorities also added 8 other suspects related to this takedown to the EU's most wanted list.
Nice.
Regulators! Mount up.
All right. So, hey, okay, you guys know that I have a certain, penchant for visuals. Shout out to Europol. First of all, Operation Endgame. I love the chess reference, right? We're straight checkmating you bees, right? Second, and I like this. You can tell that they used AI to generate this artwork. It's like the night is like exploding, but also into zeros and ones, which is very digital. Nicely done, Europol. I see you. Okay. This is a win for the good guys. Okay, guys, massive takedown. They took down 2,000 sites, a bunch of malware. They mentioned, like, dude, 70 million euros earned by one of the main suspects in the case. They arrested 4 people. Here's the TLDR. This is a massive takedown. They took the domain down that was hosting it, right? This TrickBot, they mentioned TrickBot and SmokeLoader. I'm familiar with those two. The other two I didn't recognize. But the point is, TrickBot was unbelievably successful and effective and widespreading a few years ago. It was part of the Emotet, TrickBot, Ryuk ransomware kind of chain that we saw for a while. And TrickBot is like an info stealer, a post-exploitation kind of loader. Like it like sits on your box, moves around. It's a persistence mechanism. It's nasty, okay? Emotet was like an initial infection and pull down TrickBot. TrickBot was really good malware, okay? So Threat Actor Academy, that was somebody's capstone project. For them to take this down, oh yeah, Iced ID is another one that I've heard of. For them to take this down is awesome. What I really want to say, it says they... What I really want to say is that they arrested 4 people. I've said this a million times. This is the most important thing. International law enforcement can take down infrastructure and slow down threat actors, but unless you cut the head off the snake, you're not stopping anything. Okay, look at breach forums, right? They took breach forums down last week, and this week, Silky Raider or whatever that guy's name is, Skulky Bitbot. I can't remember the guy's name. Skulky Rider. But he's back and, back up and running, and breach forums is back up and running. So like, unless you get the human behind it all, it's coming right back. Look at like Lockbit Sup got taken down, right? So we could imagine that's going to go away. So this is when it becomes a huge win, right? Like I will celebrate an international law enforcement takedown of infrastructure, but I will order a cake and get some candles and dim the lights and sing a song for when they arrest the threat actors behind the operation. That's when real impact happens. Let's go. All this is, there's nothing for us to do professionally except take a minute, breathe for a second, and realize that international law enforcement made it a little bit easier for us or reduce the likelihood of really good malware getting into our environment.
Malware bricked over 600,000 routers. Researchers from Lumen Technologies' Black Lotus lab reported new details about an incident that occurred last October, where hundreds of thousands of customers from a single ISP reported bricked Soho routers. The report didn't name the ISP, but the timeline matches a large-scale outage by Windstream. On October 25, 2023, an unknown threat actor deployed the commodity Chalubo malware on over 600,000 routers connected to a single autonomous system number, using custom scripts to overwrite the router firmware. Notably, the attack targeted the ASN, not a particular model number, and the routers were from 2 different manufacturers. The researchers didn't know the exact attack chain or if a nation-state actor perpetrated the attack.
All right, so this is interesting. This is a post-mortem, meaning like lessons learned, review. So, I'm not familiar with this, but I guess apparently last year, an ISP, like an entire ISP in the routers connected to it got bricked, meaning brick typically means like no longer usable. You could have like firmware flashing, whatever. Sometimes you can repair a brick device, but oftentimes a brick, they call it a brick because that's basically what it is now, right? It's like a heavy object that doesn't do much instead of it being a phone or a laptop or a network device. So if you heard the term brick, that's what's up. What I want to point out here is my initial thought was, get the tinfoil hat emotes going in a hot second. I appreciate that they're investigating this and looking at it. I originally thought that this was some, curious hacker, some, not ungrounded, but someone who just doesn't give a flip, circa 1995 hacker. My only crime is curiosity. And just, it got loose, basically. That's what I initially thought when I saw this title, right? I thought usually when nation states or, advanced people, sophisticated threat actors make malware, they put in controls to be able to limit it to hit only what it wants, right? Like, so when you throw the grenade, you want it to blow up right where you want it to blow up. You don't want it to cascade and blow up everything, right? We saw this with WannaCry. Famously, there was a kill switch in the WannaCry code. That's basically how we stopped WannaCry. We saw it with NotPetya. Even though NotPetya got out, NotPetya actually had checks in it to make sure that the keyboard language was a specific language to Ukraine. It's Cyrillic, in order to kind of help limit the blast radius. We saw it with Stuxnet, the United States and Israel joint effort. So anyways, basically it can get out, and that's what bricking is, and that's what happened here. Now, as we get into it, my tinfoil hat wants to come out. So this was isolated to one ASN, or autonomous system number. Now, without getting too into it, and again, I'm not exactly an expert on this, but I know enough to be dangerous. The internet, like, hey, the information superhighway, gather around, children. We're going on the information superhighway. The internet is just a network of networks. That's something that you really should wrap your head around. The internet, it is one network, and we're all on it. Amazon's there, as well as Russia doing attacks on Ukraine. It's one internet, but they're all networks of networks. So if you think of that as like this kind of webbed matrix network thing, at certain points at the top, like at these kind of like top level of the tree, there's these ASNs, or autonomous system numbers, and they're basically that's as far as I'm aware, an ASN is like kind of the largest block of a network on the internet. So the internet is basically a bunch of ASNs connected together. And we use Border Gateway Protocol, BGP, to kind of manage these things. That's why sometimes you'll see famously an entire section of the internet goes dark, right? We saw, like, I think it was years ago, like Turkey went dark because like YouTube had tried to make some change and they screwed it up. You see Facebook from time to time make a BGP change and take out an ASN or take out a segment of the internet. Okay, so anyways, now that we've got our network architecture 101 done and understand that, I find this interesting. I almost want to say that this, again, this is a tinfoil hat, complete speculation, but I could see this being a test bed, frankly. Like, as a capability, as a nation state capability, if you were able to basically blink out one ASN on the internet, that would be incredibly powerful, right? If you took out like Western United States, that would be powerful. If you took out Israel, right? Like the internet you know what I mean? Because like, it's not a denial of service attack. It would be a denial of service attack, but not in the traditional sense of pushing massive amounts of data to overwhelm a server. It would be a denial of service attack by basically cutting off the internet from that segment, right? So everyone within the ASN would still be able to communicate with each other. That part of the network would still work, but the internet part wouldn't work, which gets really interesting as you start dealing with cloud-based systems and things like that, right? So like, if you were to cut an ASN off in, say, I don't know, like Ghana, right? And the business in Ghana is using Microsoft 365. Is that Microsoft 365 instance copied down and inside the ASN of Ghana's network, internet, or is it outside and now you've cut that off from them, right? So there's really some interesting implications, and for it to be mysterious and to the thing is, it's an entire ASN, which is very peculiar, right? Normally, like hackers or malicious, like I want to see the world burn people, they're not as meticulous with targeting like this, at least in my experience over the years, right? So very destructive, very targeted, and honestly a bit concerning. Like I said, it seems like it could be a test bed, right? Because here's the thing, there's only one internet. You can't test this really in a lab. You can't freaking Manhattan Project, right? In the United States, we had the desert out in Alamogordo or wherever, White Sands or Trinity, like whatever, right? We could do the testing secretly and no one would know. So, like a cyber attack of this capability, you can't test it without people knowing, right? So just a little bit of a tinfoil hat.
NIST getting outside help with NVD. NIST announced it awarded a contract for additional processing support for the National Vulnerability Database. This comes after NIST announced expected delays in CVE analysis in NVD back in February and its disclosure of a growing vulnerability backlog back in April. The new contract is not a long-term solution, but NIST says it's confident the support will allow it to return to pre-February 2024 processing rates within the next few months and clear its backlog by the end of September. The agency still plans to use an industry consortium to improve the program as part of a wider reform of NVD.
All right. I mean, this is good and bad. Like, first of all, squad members, I heart NIST emote. Please don't be shy. So NIST runs the National Vulnerability Database. This is where you go to look up CVEs. There, as more technology comes out, as more security researchers like me, you, Tyler Ramsby, Matthew Hibbert, Jazzy Jazz, Brian Mulder, like as there's more of us, more CVEs come out, and someone's got to look at the CVEs and then calculate using CVSS scoring and communicate out. And it's just become overwhelming. So NIST is doing what we call in the industry surge support, right? You may have heard this term. If you haven't, it's a real term. Surge support. So if you get like think of like holiday shopping season or like the holidays when the post office and Amazon hire a bunch of drivers, a bunch of delivery people, because there is an overwhelming amount of work that's not consistent with the normal day in and day out traffic. That is surge support. That's all NIST is doing. They got some extra cashish, right? Great cash, homie. And they hired a company to help them out. It's not a long-term plan. It's just to deal with the backlog. Way to go, NIST. I love you. Thank you very much. And I do think that honestly, this is going to sound snarky also. I guess today's Snarky Friday. I find it quaint that they think that this is not a long-term solution and it's just to get the backlog down. My friends at NIST, the vulnerabilities, the amount being discovered, the amount of technology, they're all going up. So you might get the surge down, but it's not going to return to like 19 or 2015 levels. Like the long-term strategy is to hire more people or dedicate money or have it be its own thing, right? Let's go.
And now, thanks to today's episode sponsor, Vanta. Are lengthy security reviews pulling attention away from your security program? With the largest network of trust centers, Vanta can help you streamline security reviews to win customer trust, save time, and close deals fast. Proactively demonstrate security by showcasing key resources like your SOC 2 or ISO 27001 and provide real-time evidence for passing controls. And when a security questionnaire is required, Vanta takes the first pass for you. Visit vanta.com/CISO to take a tour.
All right. Hey, I saw this in the comments yesterday. It's happened to me personally. I know it's happened to James McQuiggan at 35,000 feet. If it's happened to you, let us know in chat. If it has not happened to you, I guarantee you it will happen to you at some point. You will hear this song walking through a mall or walking through a hotel or walking through a store, and you're immediately going to think of Simply Cyber. I promise you, the Daily Cyber Threat Briefing. So true. I can't not think of it when I hear this, and it's so funny. And it's even on brand because it says, "Don't you forget about me." Way to go. Hey, guys, thanks so much for being here. I hope you're having a great show. Appreciate you allowing me to go a little bit faster as I've got field trip chaperone duty. Me and Mom are chaperoning a field trip for my son, and it's going to be awesome. Thank you so very much. If you're getting value from the show, hashtag Team SC in chat, hit that like button. Basically, I don't care about the numbers or the vanity metrics. What I want is to trigger the YouTube algorithm to tell more people about what we're doing here. Do your part. Hit the like button on YouTube. Shout out to Barricade Cyber and Antisyphon for sponsoring the stream. Totally appreciate it. Guys, Caleb Reyes has the baton. Looks like Caleb doesn't have a lot of connections. Let's correct that, guys. Caleb Reyes, second student at Ball State University. Hey, Caleb, I'm going to connect to you right now, live on stream. Boom. Caleb Reyes did the Simply Cyber Community Challenge. I was super busy yesterday and didn't have a chance to check it out. But let me repost this. Oh, hold on. I want to repost it with my thoughts. Meet Caleb. Getting it done. So this is how easy it is to blow up your professional network if you want to get into the cybersecurity spaces. Hold on. I'll have to do that later, Caleb, because it's not pulling you up. All right, let's drop the link in chat. Guys, go connect with Caleb and hear his story. Caleb, if you can tag somebody, we'd appreciate it. Simply Cyber Community Challenge. It's basically a hack that we came up with to allow people to connect with each other, build a community, build a professional network. Chuck Sapp in chat, the brainchild behind the Simply Cyber Community Challenge. Thank you, Chuck. Great to see you. Guys, go on LinkedIn, search for the hashtag Simply Cyber Community Challenge. It's as easy as that. Connect with the people who are using it. And once you do that, watch the feeds turn in, watch all the good news come in, watch the resources show up. I'm telling you, you will love it. What's up, Caleb? I see Caleb Ray is in chat right now. Caleb, when I get home, I'm going to repost this. I'm actually going to read your story so I can get to know who you are. But thank you so much. We need somebody to take on the challenge. If you would like to be the person, I know there were a couple volunteers yesterday. If you would like to take the Simply Cyber Community Challenge baton from Caleb, please say it in chat. Holler at you. Let us know. We want to hear your story. And again, connect with Caleb. Connect with Caleb. I'm going to drop it again here in chat. All right. Guys, every single day of the week has a special segment. Today is Grayson's Joke of the Week presented by James McQuiggan at 35,000 feet. James McQuiggan wants us to know, because we missed Mother's Day because he was on vacation, he wanted some Mother's Day jokes. What do mommy bees use to brush their hair? What do mommy bees use to brush their hair? Honeycombs. What do you call a mother who's small in size? What do you call a mother that's small in size? A minimum. And James wants you to know, when does a computer function best? When it listens to its motherboard. Computer, listen to your motherboard, computer. You'll be all right. Here we go. La 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 la's. All right, let's keep rolling, babies. Keep the train moving.
Meta and OpenAI disrupt influence operations. In its quarterly threat report, Meta announced it removed accounts tied to 6 distinct political influence campaigns originating across Bangladesh, China, and Croatia, as well as the Israeli political campaign firm Stoic. The largest of these used over 500 accounts across Instagram and Facebook. Meta says 2 of the campaigns likely used content from Gen AI tools, but that these tools were not yet sophisticated enough to avoid its detection methods. Stoic also saw disruption by OpenAI, which announced it discovered similar campaigns operating from Russia and China. The campaigns used OpenAI tools to do things like write posts, translate content, and build social media automation software. The company noted that in many cases, these campaigns didn't show signs of becoming more effective, but can operate at a larger scale.
All right. So selfishly, as a U.S. citizen, it's nice to see already in other countries, influence campaigns are being used with AI. That's not why it's nice to see. I expected to see this. Obviously, we all did. What's nice to see is that Meta, who controls a massive social platform that many people use, is removing the content, taking the time to identify the fraudulent accounts, taking time to identify the content that is being used. Again, the AI content isn't necessarily more effective or good. It's just there's more of it and they're moving faster, which is what AI will enable us. So shout out to Meta. Normally, they're just money grubbing. Great cash, homie. But, they do have a social responsibility to kind of police this stuff. And I know we get into not First Amendment rights and the ability to say stuff, but just disinformation campaigns are real. We've seen it in place since all the way back in 2016. Cambridge Analytica. Oh my God, go watch the Netflix documentary. So I'm pumped to see that AI, while making things faster, stronger, better, is still being held in check by these social media giants.
Google confirms search leak. Earlier this week, SEO expert Rand Fishkin published 2,500 pages of leaked documents from an anonymous source related to how Google search works. This doesn't get into what specific data or signals impact search rankings directly, but does give details on its search API, what Google collects from sites and users, as well as what data it makes available to employees. Google subsequently confirmed the leaked data as legitimate, but cautioned about drawing conclusions from out of context, outdated, or incomplete information. No word on how this data on Google's secretive search practices got out.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, okay. So here's the thing. Google might be like the number one website on the internet, right? Everybody like Google, like people don't say search the internet, they say Google it, even if they're using Bing, I guess. Thanks for the squad membership, Anthony. So I didn't know about this. Apparently 2,500 documents got leaked that explain the secret sauce of Google's search algorithm. Again, everybody wants to be on the first page of Google. Everybody wants to be the top ranking site or result on Google. If you Google GRC, I want to be the first person on Google. Actually, you know what? If you Google Gerald Auger, there's a Canadian Native American actor who usually comes up, and I'm like low key made it my mission to like usurp him as the number one result. but anyways, businesses that depend on generating revenue and using search to have customers find them, they pay companies. There's whole companies that are built around SEO. Now, while this isn't really a cybersecurity story by any stretch of the means, it is worth noting that if you could understand how the algorithm worked, you could then tailor your strategy to, basically show up in Google result. I'm not going to spend much more time on this story because it literally isn't cybersecurity related. But what I will point out is that if it were me, I'm not an SEO person, but I am a business owner. If it were me, I would literally download, again, I don't know if this is considered, it's not classified if it's public information, but I would download the 2,500 documents. I would feed them all into ChatGPT. I would say, this is your corpus of data. I want to, show up first on Google search. Tell me what to do. That's what I would do. I would not read these 2,500 documents. This is just one of those like immediate things that AI would be unbelievably beneficial for. So I guess somebody said insider threat, priceless pancake. Thank you. If you wanted to make this a cyber related story. Yeah, dude, if you work at any type of company that has IP, like whether it's Tesla and their battery technology, whether it's Google and their searcher algorithm, Coke and the formula, insider threat's a thing. Basically, TLDR, I flipped out yesterday about this on access. You have to minimize access to least use. You have to do account access, like user access permissions review to make sure that people aren't getting permissions creep. You've got to make sure that, terminated employees don't get to retain their access and all that other stuff. And you have to have things like DLP, which, takes a lot of time and energy and nurturing to put in place correct to identify when somebody who has appropriate access steps off the reservation.
Redtail malware hits Palo Alto firewalls. Security researchers at Akamai discovered the
All right, looks like Caleb tagged Ula Wafemi Aman for the baton pass. Simply Cyber Community Challenge. Looking forward to it, Ula Wafemi.
Operators of this crypto mining malware began exploiting a recently discovered flaw in Palo Alto Network's firewalls. The flaw in Pan OS allows an unauthenticated attacker to execute code with root access on a firewall. Palo Alto released a patch last month. Redtail previously attacked network equipment from TP-Link, Barracuda Networks, Avanti, and VMware. The Palo Alto attacks show evolving sophistication by the group, which now uses encrypted mining configurations, switches to private mining pools rather than a hard-coded wallet, and advanced evasion techniques.
All right. So basically, is there an infographic? This gets no saxophone. No saxophone for you. Screenshots. I need a infographic showing the infection kill chain here. Come on. Is there an infection kill chain up in here? No. All right. So here's the deal. This story, Redtail, this does mean something for us, but in the reality, this is like one of those malwares that is almost like a parasite more than anything. So crypto mining, crypto jacking, basically threat actors. The whole deal with mining crypto, or speaking of crypto,
I'm a crypto evangelist. I love it, love it, love it.
right? So the whole deal with crypto is that you have to like do these mathematical computations. It's very energy intensive, very power intensive, and then you generate new coins, right? Well, if you could just generate money out of thin air, everyone would do it. The problem is the amount of energy consumed to create a coin. Like say the coin's worth like $1, you'll spend $5 in energy making that $1. So obviously there's a negative return on investment, which is why you have to do it at scale in order to make it reasonable. And there's a million other considerations, right? But hello, if you have somebody else pay for the energy, pay for the processing, then everything is straight cash, homie.
Straight cash, homie.
Everything's pure profit, right? So that's what these threat actors are doing. They're basically infecting systems, and they're putting crypto mining software on those systems. And the crypto mining software is just working. And the threat actor is just making pure profit, pure profit, pure profit. Now, I will give them credit for this enterprising approach because they are infecting network devices. They mentioned Barracuda, Fortinet, Palo Alto, right? If there's a vulnerable networking solution out there, these guys, they're on it, right? Almost like Vanilla Ice, they'll solve it, right? They'll get on there, and they're a little bit more sophisticated with the way that they execute a bash script from like a remote IP. So basically, it's not executing on the device itself. Remember, these devices, while they are networking devices, they basically run a variant of Linux on it, which means if you can get Linux binaries to run, you can run, basically fileless malware in the PAs. Now, with fileless, sometimes there is no persistence mechanism. So if you were to reboot the firewall, it would wipe that out. However, how often are people rebooting firewalls? Maybe when they patch and stuff, but and it's hard to detect because as far as I know, BSEC confirm for me if you will, but as far as I know, there isn't really you can't deploy EDR agents onto Palo Alto firewall, right? Like Microsoft Defender doesn't go on Palo Alto firewall. There will be anti-malware stuff built into the firewalls in order to kind of identify or detect mal stuff happening. But you'd have to be looking at it. You'd have to tune it. It's just a little bit of a different animal, which means that there's a higher success rate of getting on there and going undiscovered. Also, your firewall will still work. Packets will still flow across the network device. It's just that the thing is getting taxed because all of the extra processing power is being used to mine crypto. So that's what's up here with this. What I would say for practitioners out there, look at the performance on your networking devices. If it's pegged out, meaning it's using 100% CPU utilization, it's 24/7 using 100%. That is a strong indicator that you are infected and crypto mining's going down. BSEC is confirming that PAs do have their own EDR, but it's a lot of configuration as expected. So these networking devices do have anti-malware solutions, but they're specific to the device and they require people to know how to use them. With EDR solutions in enterprises, you have one console and the SecOps people basically sit at the console and they're look at their entire fleet of endpoints and they say, okay, hey, somebody in the Chicago office has an infection. Let's quarantine that box. Let's call them, whatever, right? You're not going to get that feed into a centralized console with these networking devices. Now, Palo Alto has Panorama, which I haven't seen in Panorama if it'll alert you that there's an infection. But basically, what it would require is an analyst to be looking in the Microsoft Defender managed console and the Panorama managed console, right? The idea of the single pane of glass, that whole thing. So, long story short, this is parasitic malware. Threat actors are getting paid. You may not even notice it, which is what they want. They want to just slowly be rolling on that. Becky Gaylord had a great idea per Chris Rock. So let's see what Becky Gaylord's idea was. I do like a good idea. Oh my God. This is so on brand. I don't see what Becky Gaylord said, but very on brand for Chris Rock. Chris Rock said if he discovered the malware, he would just change the wallet and not report it. So essentially the threat actors would be crypto mining for Chris Rock. LOL. That's wonderful. All right, guys, this was a little bit of a speed round. Oh, we have one more story.
LightSpy makes its way to Mac OS. LightSpy serves as a modular surveillance framework, generally targeting iOS and Android devices. But a report from Threat Fabric discovered a variant targeting Mac OS. It discovered this by exploiting a misconfigured interface, finding LightSpy can exploit a series of WebKit flaws to execute within Safari. The interface also showed references to Windows, Linux, and router versions, but did not include any technical documentation on how its attack chain works. It's not clear, though, how wide of a reach this macOS spyware will have. It only works on macOS 10.13.3 or earlier, and Apple cut off support for macOS 10 almost 4 years ago, so it's probably vulnerable to a lot of other nasty stuff too. Remember,
All right, so I was mod chatting everybody, so I wasn't paying a lot of attention. Mac OS is definitely vulnerable to stuff. LightSpy is a piece of malware I've never heard of, but it sounds like my understanding was that it's targeting Asia Pac people. So doesn't mean, here's the thing, it doesn't mean that a Mac in Kentucky can't be vulnerable. It's just that the threat actors are targeting and deploying the malware to Asia Pacific regions, right? It's not like the malware is like all over the internet. It's like blah, 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 like tentacles slapping around, right? Like it probably has to be sent in a phishing email or some type of Trojan horse or whatever. So the initial infection has to be delivered and then duped. The victim has to be duped into installing it. So that's why when you see it's like localized to a region, that's typically what's happening. It's the threat actors are targeting a specific area. It's been in the wild since 24, whatever, a couple months, no big deal. Researchers got into the control panel by exploiting a misconfiguration. See, here's the deal, guys. Even threat actors suffer from misconfiguration. You could have 0 days, you could have over-permissioned accounts, but guys, misconfiguration. Somebody at the threat actor office looks like they didn't get the memo. They were hurrying to get done on a Friday. Go get some tacos. Misconfiguration. Boom. All right. I just want to get a little bit more information here on what they're doing. Here's the control panel, so you can see the infection logs. This is what a control panel typically looks like. It'll show the threat actor's IP address, the last time the victim machine checked in, et cetera, so they can just kind of have a single pane of glass effectively. Rex with a super chat.
Did we just become best friends? Yep.
Daily reminder of how secure Mac is. Yeah, so basically, this doesn't seem to be an issue if you're running. Oh, there we go. All right, it doesn't seem to be an issue if you're running a newer version of Mac. The CVE, the vulnerability that it infects is 6 years old. This is CVE 2018. So basically, guys, you gotta patch it. Super easy. Just don't be on a deprecated legacy version of Mac OS and you'll be fine. Also, I love sharing this whenever I have a Mac story. This guy right here, top 3 favorite speakers. And I get asked occasionally who are my favorite speakers. Chris Rock, who's in chat right now, favorite speaker. Patrick Wardle, the guy I'm about to show you, favorite speaker. And then John Strand, favorite speaker. Those are my top 3 presenters. If you ever get a chance to see Patrick Wardle speak, he usually speaks at Black Hat DEF CON every year. He's phenomenal. He is standing room worthy of going to listen to his talk. And he's basically, as far as I'm concerned, the foremost expert on security for Apple products. You could see here, Objective-C is his company. I don't know why it's not coming up. That's frustrating. I ain't got no time for that. Okay.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
All right, guys, that's going to do it. We're on the speed run here. So if you were here just for the news, thank you so very much. There's Objective-C. If you were here just for the news, thank you. Stay tuned because we've got a great AMA coming any minute now. We've got tons of people. we got a panel coming up. It's going to be all about good times. We've got Eric Taylor coming on, Casually Joseph. You can see right here, Kimberly is in the studio, so we got her coming on hot in a second. Guys, I'm Jerry from Simply Cyber. This was Friday, May 31st, episode 634, I believe. Thank you all so very much. Please stay tuned. We got a great jaw jacking, but we're going to pivot over there. If you got to go, holla. I'm going to be a chaperone. Hashtag dad power. All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Jaw Jacking. I'm just here for a minute to do the handoff. I am your host, Jerry Guy. And we're coming hot off the heels from that nerd, Dr. Gerald Auger show, Daily Cyber Threat Brief. Really, as I push my glasses up. Guys, AMA, it's all about good times. We're bringing on our man, Eric Taylor from Barricade Cyber. Hey, Eric Taylor, good to see you. We've got our good friend, Casually Joseph from Barricade Cyber. Good to see you, Casually Joseph. Who else we got in here? Oh, yes, sir. Kimberly can fix it in the house. Woo! Good to see you, Kimberly. And we've got some other guests who will be joining us as the show goes on. All about good times. Eric, I will give you the MC duty. What can people expect from the AMA?
No idea. We're just going to answer questions and see what everybody wants to talk about. All
right. That sounds good. Guys, have fun. I leave you in the capable hands of this team. Until next time, stay secure. Where am I? Okay, yeah, push me off.
Or go. There we go. All right, let's refix this thing.
I got a scooch.
This thing's a hot mess express, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see which one works best. Yeah, I think that one works better. What's going on? We got the Barricade Cyber crew in the house.
It's like we sponsored or something.
Hey.
Something. Let's see if we can find some music AI that's going to jazz with us a little bit.
I feel like we got a question for Eric here from Tim McDonald. Nope, that was a sneak peek at Kimberly. Says, I am on my third interview for cybersecurity analyst role. On Tuesday, oh man, it's flying by. On Tuesday, I'm meeting with the CEO and hiring manager. Any advice?
Go in there and act like you know what's going on. Go in there with power. Go in there with purpose. You know, we've talked about this many times that, yes, your certifications and your degrees will get you so far, but when you go in there, and not in an overly cocky way, right? So don't go in there acting like your crap doesn't stink, but just go in there and show that you have that confidence, you have that drive, and that you're there to succeed. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to hire you over that.
Yep. And I think another thing to keep in mind is definitely don't pretend you know things that you don't know.
That sets people off, including me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you say that's clutch?
I did. That's very clutch. Yes. You don't.
She's trying to be hip. She's trying to be young.
I'm freaking an old. Because as soon as you said that's clutch, I'm thinking about I needed to go out and go downhill to pop the clutch in my car.
No. No, but that's really important. You don't want to get stuck in a question and not be able to. I shouldn't say not be able to answer. If you can't answer it, just let them know. That's something that you'll look up and you'll find out the answer to. But don't lie about it for sure.
Emphasize that you know how to definitely find the answer.
Yes.
And don't be like, oh, let me go Google that.
No, yeah, no. Yeah.
Just simply say, look, I don't know, but I'm happy to look into that and get back with you if you're looking for that answer.
Yep. Or tell them something you do know that is contextually relevant. Oh, hey, Jerry's back.
Hey, I forgot one thing that I wanted to share. I said I would do this. So really quickly, everybody, if you're interested, John Hoyt, the CISO at Clemson, has a podcast called Cybersecurity Mentors Podcast, and I was interviewed a couple weeks ago, and it published this morning. I'll drop a link in chat. But it's basically like my complete origin story and why I'm actually doing Simply Cyber and why cybersecurity means so much to me. So if you're interested, I'll drop a link in chat. Go check it out. Thanks.
Love it.
Oh, here we are. Wesley Widner What would your recommendation for a desiring SOC analyst set to graduate in the summer of 2025 be for hands-on training? Hack the Box CDSA. Try Hack Me has 2 SOC modules. You're gonna want to familiarize yourself with networking heavy. There's a lot of networking involved in a SOC analyst role. Learn a ticketing software if you can. I don't know how easy that one's going to be without actually working for someone that's using ticketing software, but familiarize yourself with one. General threat hunting skills and practices. Let's Defend has some good content. Antisyphon, the SOC analyst core skills, the getting started with BHIS and MITRE, and then the active deception and cyber defense. I can never remember that one, right? I always just call it the 3rd John Strand class.
Yeah, agreed. And his labs are available. I know at least maybe for all of them, but at least for the SOC core skills, they're available in his GitHub. So I've been throwing that out there for those asking about some SOC practice and that type of thing too. So it's definitely available for you there, even if you can't take the course.
Oh yeah, and Cyber Burglar brings up a great point. Networking. You're doing something right by starting here, but definitely start with smaller events. And get to know people. There's a lot of people applying for jobs, and sometimes knowing someone will
Agreed. Yeah.
speed up the process.
For sure. And I see Jess Bishop. Hey, Jess. Jess Bishop, who works SOC as well. So she's been doing that for quite some time now. She's also suggested Greylog, which is someone who I love and adore, which is Stefan Waldvogel, works for Greylog and has been with them for a few years now already. And definitely he has written about that too. So really a great system, seem to be able to use and get some practice on, hands-on there. Thanks, Jess.
Yeah, I definitely prefer Greylog over Elk any day of the week. And twice on Sunday.
Too bad though, right? Because, CrowdStrike's pivoting over to Elk.
Don't get me started. I hold on. I wonder how screwball tastes in my coffee.
Probably not bad.
Let's not start the Friday off that way. It is Friday, right?
It is Friday, not Thursday.
Friday.
I know we're supposed to have a special guest, hopefully, here at the top of the hour. I don't want to tip the hat there.
Yes.
Hopefully that will be coming up.
I've heard quite a bit about them, so very exciting. I know a lot of people in the audience have as well, so we'll see.
Yep. We have a question from The Pain. I'm interviewing for a CISO position at a healthcare company. I've never worked in cybersecurity before, but they seemed really eager to hire me. That's going to be a tough one, going straight from no cyber to CISO. That's a big leap.
Yeah, I was going to say they must have some kind of experience in the background there for them to
absolutely
leadership, that type of thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or tinfoil hat, probably way too freaking much, is they think they have an incident and they're looking for a scapegoat.
Ooh, yeah, be careful.
Another perspective.
If it seems legit, I would definitely just try and emphasize on what experience you do have. I'm not much of a CISO type, so I don't really have much CISO advice, other than you have to think more. It's more of a business stakes role. You're not too much thinking about cyber as you're thinking about business stakes. You want to be able to get return on investment and make sure every action that you take is going to pay off for the business. And unfortunately, that means not always being able to implement the things you want, like the $200,000 firewall with all the blinky lights.
Blinky, 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 blinky. I do wonder, even more tinfoil hat, and I've seen this, unfortunately, where a company will hire a CISO right after an incident just to put a warm body in the chair as an intermediary until they find a replacement, and you don't know it going in, but your time is already done. They've already set a calendar expiration date on you of 30, 60, 90 days. They just want to say, we replaced this guy with another person, and he's just interim until we find somebody else.
Right, just checking the box.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to be that guy, but the pain of you not having any cyber experience and going to go into CISO, that sends off a lot of red flags for me. I wish you the best of luck. Don't get me wrong, but it's almost like asking me, who hasn't touched a vehicle in probably 10 years, to go out there and rebuild a freaking engine.
Yeah.
I mean,
You know, I think one that I've heard of too is a BISO, which might be a little bit, I'm not again sure of your background, but that is one that I've heard of multiple people that have taken that role and stepped into that and not had a lot of cyber experience necessarily, but they have the ability with those business skills, be able to translate, and they work with the CEO basically to help them communicate and handle some more of those business operations sides. So not quite the full responsibility of a CISO, but we'll still kind of get you familiar with that, and probably would be some great experience to look into that too. So
yeah,
just throwing that one out there.
Oh, I think the pain is making a joke about the United Health.
Oh, was he? He was joking.
I think we're taking it all serious. And
Look it, you got to put a joke after that.
dude, because I was seriously about just to light
Yeah,
on fire.
I was like, oh man, it's
Pretty
Friday.
nice
We're pouring
one,
one
right?
out for the pain. He's gonna have a tough time tomorrow.
Yeah. You don't like sleep or rest or peace or anything, do you?
That's hilarious. Okay, so what's our next question? Are we on with Chuck?
It looks like the next question is from Is in Cyber. Good morning, looking to get started in cyber, and I have a special interest in cloud security. Would I look scattered if I have some experience with SIMs on my resume, or should everything be purely cloud-based? You're going to want a healthy mix of cyber and cloud. So SIMs are a great tool to know. Just learn your typical security stacks, like a SIM, some sort of network analyzer. Gotcha. Some sort of network analyzer like Wireshark, Nmap, your typical security tools, and definitely learn the cloud, obviously.
Kerry says he wants to see me rebuild that engine. Nobody ain't got time for that. We ain't got time for that. Nobody ain't got time for that. I'd rather just shoot it and set it on fire and walk away. All right, ladies and gentlemen. The one and the only guest that y'all have been waiting to have come into the chat today. I would like to introduce you to, I guess I would say Mr. or I would just say the Mad Hat. Good day, Mr. Mad Hat, or the Mad Hat. Sorry.
There we go.
Hi, everyone.
Hey,
How you doing today?
nice setup, man. Look at that.
Thank you.
Got us all looking like amateurs over here.
So for those of you who don't know Mad Hat, you are an information security analyst, right? You just pivoted into a more senior role, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I did just in the past couple months.
Very big congratulations.
Yeah, it was kind of stuck in imposter syndrome right now. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, I
Absolutely
think that's
understand.
all of us. I should say most of us, right? I mean, I think no matter what level you are, you have a sense of it at some point. So I know even Eric, as long as he's been in the industry, you know, doing this, he's mentioned that before. You know, Joseph's starting out. Myself, I'm barely just starting to touch the tech and just very insecure about just a lot of it. I think there's so many amazingly smart people in this industry that it's a little intimidating, you know. But yeah, awesome. Very cool to have you on here, Mad Hat. I know a lot of the audience subscribes to you on YouTube, so we'll drop that link here in a minute too. But do you want to just share with us maybe a little intro really quickly about yourself, what you're doing, your channel, you know, what you create content on, so we can share that with the audience?
Yeah. So I started the channel right around the time I got my first security analyst job, which was for a bigger company that I'm working for now. But really the whole point of the channel was to kind of like how my bio says on the front page, to document stuff along the way and then create content that is hopefully useful for people just starting out or who want to get in the field, and stuff that I wish I had known when I was first starting out, and also putting in my own weird sense of humor mix into it, because I know
some of the content out there as far as tech tutorials and helpful videos can be a little bit dry. So I try to spice it up a little bit with, as I like to call it, memes. Put it in all the memes.
Yeah.
You edit
Yeah,
your
I
own
love it.
videos?
Yeah, I was going to ask that. Do you do your own editing, or do you have somebody hired to do that?
I still do it myself.
Awesome.
I enjoy doing it, but it is very time consuming, especially with my new job. My last job, I had a lot of downtime as a SOC analyst, which is not always the case, but you can find jobs where you're half the time you're given. They allow you to use that time to self-study, I guess, and I decided to use that as my time to edit. Now I don't have that time at my new job, but yeah, definitely time-consuming editing. I want to find an editor at some point, but I feel like the way I'm doing it, oftentimes the things that I put in are afterthoughts, where the memes and the edits and what I find is funny in the video doesn't actually come up during when I'm recording initially. So it might be hard to find an editor that does it the same way, but yeah.
Yeah. And I was watching the everything you need to know to actually get a junior cyber security analyst video yesterday, and I was cackling like a hyena when you used CrowdStrike to defeat the Peter worm for the Pokemon meme you made. That was great.
That was I think I decided to do that during I know it might not be a surprise to everybody, but you usually write a script when you make videos, so there's at least some plan going on, not to break the magic. It's not all improv, but yeah, I was very enjoyable making that. It's
awesome. Well, we're gonna kind of
we've got a lot of love in here for your editing in the comments too, dude. You're legendary at editing. Who does your editing? It's sick. So yeah, a lot of love for it. So I actually just found out about you when Gerald told us.
Yeah, me too.
And I try to stay up on everything, but there's so much, in cyber. But I know Adrian Harris, our resident space tacos here, and a lot of people subscribe to you already. So yeah, very cool. I think we have some questions for you too here. If you all have some more questions, feel free to drop them in chat, and we can ask them to Mad Hat. Do you think we're on? Let's see, Joseph. I think this question here, hopefully I didn't miss one, but here's from Macero1. What do you think would be the biggest piece of information you wish you knew starting out? I know you have a whole channel for this, but
yeah, it's funny because you still get comments on like a new video I post. It'll be the same comment that was asked in my oldest video. But as far as the one thing, biggest piece, I'd say the bar to entry was my biggest piece of information I wish I knew, which is kind of like the point of the channel, is that I didn't actually research much outside of my bachelor's program. So when I first graduated, I had this rose-colored glasses on where, I'll get a job, no problem. They taught me all this stuff. But it was one of those things that I very quickly learned, having a proper resume in place, and doing home projects, doing home labs, doing everything that everybody else is doing that I didn't know everybody else was doing. You have to do that to even stand a chance. And I was just, I have 6 months of help desk and I got a bachelor's. That should be enough, right? But no, it was not enough. It ended up being enough after I did a year of help desk, additional help desk, so a year and a half total. And then at that point, I spam applied to 1,000+ jobs, and I actually made a video about that. And that's how I landed my first security analyst position. It was a lot of applying.
Yeah, very cool. Did you have, I'm just curious myself, did you have a network based up? I know Gerald we talk about this all the time on the show, and he was just saying yesterday how, he got out, he was being naive, graduated from college, had a cyber degree, and was like, okay, what's up? Give me a job, and had a hard time as well, trying to get something fresh out like that. So, oh my gosh, just lost where I was gonna go with that on you.
Did I network with people?
Yes, networking. That's where I was going. Yeah. Did you do the networking piece?
No.
No. Okay.
I'm a very, I guess, shy person, and
Yeah.
I have many kids who eat up my time, so I can't really go to conventions. I can't fly anywhere.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
I'm very, very tied down to where we're at. So that is definitely helpful. You
Yeah.
could fast track your application process if you could find someone and they love you and then they immediately hire you.
Yeah.
But I went to one job convention, I guess you could call it, during my associates part of my program, and it was really fun. I talked to a bunch of people, but I didn't. Outside of that, I didn't actually go to any. But definitely helpful if you can.
Yeah. Cool. But do you feel like you find yourself doing more of that now since you have your YouTube channel? Kind of growing a little bit in your audience?
Yeah, I guess. Do you mean am I going to, or is
Or
that
like,
how-
are you networking more now, even like virtually? Like, are you finding yourself talking to more people and getting a little more involved in the industry now that you have a channel, or is that not so much something that's needed?
I definitely feel more involved, but that's more so in the background where I'm reading more articles, more blogs, watching more videos. But I don't think I'll actually go anywhere. Still very much tied down. Maybe a few years down the line when the kids are older.
Yep. Makes sense.
I do see a couple other questions, but from your perspective, seeing other junior analysts coming in, how much does the character and the passion of a junior analyst or intern getting into a job role play into actually getting hired versus just having certs and things of that nature, do you think?
Enthusiasm is, I would say, about 25%.
Really?
Maybe more, especially now, because we're not in a, from what I can tell anyways, from all the research and all the people I see coming in, it's very, it's not a job seekers market. The popularity is growing so quickly that there's a higher supply of junior applicants. So if you're getting all these applicants applying to these positions and you decide on 10, you are going to notice the ones that are more enthusiastic about the field and more enthusiastic about what they explain when they answer interview questions. Mm-hmm. If they're very robotic and they're like, oh, I know this, I know this, I know this, and then they cut off, it's going to be contrasted with the more enthusiastic people answering the questions. And that was one of the things actually that landing my current position, there were hundreds of applicants apparently. I was just told this a couple weeks ago from another analyst there, that my enthusiasm showed when I was answering the questions, and it was pointed out to me during the final step where they're like, okay, we're going to offer you this. Your enthusiasm was noted. So I think it's a big part when you're going into these interviews that you need to show enthusiasm in how you answer the questions and what you want to learn and what you continue learning on your own outside of the job itself that you could potentially get.
Awesome. Question from Space Tacos. What do you live the most about, or I guess what do you love about your current job? And if this is not your dream job, what would your dream job be?
Love about my current job, definitely not the amount of work that I have to do, but it's very much it's not everything is put together at my new position, whereas my last position, they had all their security tools, all their EDR, everything was set up perfectly. And I was just sitting there waiting for alerts to come in and waiting for, I had regular meetings to create new detection rules in our SIM. That was kind of a more of a love for that job. But my current job, I love the new exposure that I'm getting on a different security stack entirely. We didn't have really any of the tools that I'm using now, and that's one of those things that at my last job I didn't like at the end of it, where I felt I'm not learning anything anymore. I'm just going through the motions. I'm just making out these detection rules. I know how to do all the alerts that are coming in. Most of them are all false positives because, like I said, they had all of their ducks in a row. So if something did happen, then, for example, we did have CrowdStrike.
Yes,
Falcon, that would stop it more or less. We had a couple serious ones in Overwatch. I think it's called Overwatch, Falcon Overwatch.
Yep.
Yeah, it stopped it, and we just had to go in and be like, oh, yep, that was not a false positive. It caught it. We're good. We just kind of had to check it, kind of make sure nothing else was touched. But yeah, it was learning on the job is huge for me. And that might not be the case for everybody, but that's what I love about my current job is that I'm learning and I'm forced to learn because it's now a senior position. So like I said, imposter syndrome, I'm very quickly trying to make it seem like I know what I'm doing. But it's tough sometimes because they'll ask me a question. I'll be like, I know this, but I don't know this, but I can look into that. And then that's where the question usually ends if I don't know what it is.
See, ladies and gentlemen, we talked about this even earlier. Mad Hat just literally just said it. I know this, but I don't know this, but I will go and research it. Don't BS your way through an answer.
So you're solving a little bit of my imposter syndrome by reinforcing it.
Exactly.
Look, I've been in this business for a long time, and even I have imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yep. Very common.
So we do see a couple questions in here, and I will just go out on a limb and say Mad Hat probably does not wear his mask to bed or to interviews, and it is for privacy. So let's just leave the mask questions alone. We'll scroll on.
Matthew Hibbert wants to know, in your opinion, what is the best way to document continuing projects that you work on to present to employers?
Ooh, that is a good one.
Yeah.
I know GitHub repos are big. LinkedIn's are big for showing off your knowledge. A lot of people do Medium pages.
LinkedIn even has a new project section. The only thing I recommend, though, if you are storing stuff on LinkedIn, is to have a backup for that. Like, if you're spending the time to put in those projects and put all that information in there, I would dupe it somewhere else, even if it's not online, just in case. You never know.
To be honest with you, you're looking at. I wonder about this question. Are you reporting this internally to your existing employers, or are you using this as part of your resume for new employers?
For future?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're doing this as an internal to your existing employer, I don't know if GitHub is the real best answer for that, because you misconfigure and the entire world can see that GitHub repo. So,
what do you think, Mad Hat?
Yeah, you want to be cautious of if it's an internal. If you're posting anything that could be sensitive, not to do it in a public space. But I always recommended GitHub as an easy source for documenting. As a follow-up step to that, I would advise maybe making a website and then just documenting it there. That'd be a lot cooler. It's not that much harder to do that. GitHub has its own, I think, way of doing that, where you can create a page. It's somewhat like a website, but
yeah, I've seen people do that before too. It's really cool. Yeah,
just formalizing it, making it cleaner, more than just
more visually.
Yeah, click into this these set of folders to get to my project.
Yeah, exactly. I'm seeing in the chat too, a lot of people are saying too, GitHub is a place that they like to use. Jesse Johnson mentioned even YouTube, which is another great place to share with others and have them be able to see you as well if you're looking for some visibility that way. Very cool. Joseph, we have another question you want to pull up?
Yeah, we have one from Nathan Bolin. What tips do you have for somebody that has been in a cyber analyst roles for 3 years and trying to move, as my current company does not have promotion opportunities? This sounds right up your alley, Mad Hat.
Definitely when you're in a 3-year position, you'd want to consider some senior certs. You could also just spam apply, making sure your resume is fully polished. But yeah, if you're not getting any promotion opportunities at your current position, I very much know that pain. I was only there for a year, so I'm a little spoiled. I felt the need to move on quicker than 3, but yeah, spam apply if that doesn't work. I ended up getting my CISSP, which I know a lot of people will bash. It's just a high level knowledge cert, but it does filter HR like no other. So you could potentially go for that. I don't know if you have any help desk experience. outside of that, or technical experience that can add on, because you do need 4 years if you have another cert, or 4 years if you have a bachelor's. So it depends on where you're at. But something that you can consider, maybe another certificate like the OSCP, something that will really filter HR and make your resume look a little bit better. But if you don't want to do the cert route, you can definitely spam apply and see what's out there. It's hard to get a job, but you have 3 years of experience, so you're not going to be fighting for the position as hard as somebody who's just getting into the field.
Yeah.
And remind me, Matt, I watched your video on the CISP. Was it 1 or 2 weeks that you got your CISP in?
Wow.
The studying was just the 1 week.
Just the 1 week.
Yeah, it was a lot of cramming. My wife took on all the kids, and she's like, okay, you study, I'll take care of them. And yeah, that's exactly what I did. I was kind of, I guess, angry at my employer, and that's what fueled me. I was like, okay, no, I gotta get this. And then
you got your CISP, and you told him, and he basically just like ignored you, didn't he? He was just like, cool, and just left, right?
Pretty much. My main boss, because I have a bunch of other coworkers, but my main boss, who I report to, I told him, and he didn't want to call me, because he calls me all the time to talk about random things, like once or twice a month, and he didn't say really anything. He just said, because I was asking him specifically if we had somebody who could endorse me, and he just said, oh, talk to that person over there. And I felt a little brushed off for something I thought was difficult to obtain, at least somewhat difficult. I know it's, some people would say, oh, you just cram, which you kind of do, but still, I felt like,
right?
Congrats, maybe. I mean, he could have just, we were using our chat channel, he could have just said congrats real quick, but he did. That's what stood out to me.
Got a question here from the Haircut Fish. Do you have a favorite programming language? I will go and say mine is PowerShell, because I can install that on any OS, and it traverses very nicely. I can do anything I need to as long as PowerShell is installed. Joseph, you have a favorite favorite language?
Do I have a favorite PowerShell? Is that what you're gonna ask?
Favorite flavor?
One that functions. PowerShell and Python. I usually bounce between the two. Python is, you see a lot of Python for a lot of malware, and then PowerShell, you see a lot of PowerShell for droppers and other nasty littles. But Python and PowerShell are definitely my big two. I tend to use PowerShell more than I use Python, but I do like Python. Sorry, just one moment. What about you, Kim? Mad Hat?
Well, for me, I'm still, I'm in the fundamentals, guys, so I'm dabbling a little bit in everything. But I'd say probably PowerShell is what I'm the most familiar with. But yeah, we'll see. Check back in with me in a couple months. I'll let you know what my fave is.
Those who don't know, Kimberly Can Fix It is starting to enter back into the technical aspect of things and not just the marketing.
Yes. I have a program coming up, so I'm excited for it. It's going to be about 15 weeks, kind of like a boot camp style, but a little more on the cyber defense side. But yeah, really looking forward to it. Just needed something to help me kind of dive in and dig in and, really stick to it. So I'm excited.
Matt, do you have any favorite programming languages you'd care to mention?
I've done C, C++, Java, at least in my bachelor's, and I hated it. I like Bash scripting, but that's not really all that useful. And then PowerShell, of course, is very useful, especially currently. We use a lot of tools that utilize PowerShell, so big fan of that. But yeah, I haven't really done a whole lot of programming either. There's not a whole lot of need for it when you're a security analyst. Maybe if I become an engineer at some point, I might need to know it more. But even then, you don't really got to make the tools.
Yeah, and one thing I try to emphasize for people who always, you switched the camera around, I got to move so I'm not cut off. People who are always like, I can't code, I don't know how to code. For a security analyst position, you don't really have to know. It's more about being able to read the code, knowing what it's doing. That is, I think everybody would agree. I mean, when it comes to figuring out what a detection is and knowing what this malware is doing, you don't have to be able to code the malware yourself. You just have to be able to look at it, break it down, and figure out what's going on.
I'd say a lot of the time the security tools will break it down for you too.
True.
So it's not even that you have to like, okay, here's all this code, go through it and find what part of it, because a lot of times it's something hidden or obfuscated, and that will get de-obfuscated in the security tool. So you don't really need to do that part either. So they're making it a lot easier.
So follow-up question from Jenna Powers to you, Mad Hat. How long must you be in the cyber field before attempting to gain the CISSP cert? Did you say approximately 4 years? Yes. But that's correct, right? It's been a while. Pretty sure that's correct?
Yeah, 4 years if you have a bachelor's or any other certificate. So you could get the Security Plus, and that would knock off a year, which is also very easy, and it could prepare you to do the CISSP. But yeah, 4 years, and I feel like they're very lax on what you qualify as 2 of the 8 domains for that 4 years. So don't feel like you have to have a security job to qualify. Anything that you could stretch to be a computer-related tech job, they might buy it and apply push you through anyways. But yeah, 4 years.
Yep. The mod chat over here is just kind of going crazy because when my head's turned a little bit and yours is as well, Mad Hat, they're just wondering if I put a beanie on, if we would resemble each other. Freaking crazy people. I told them not to start that garbage, but here I just spoke about it publicly. Justin asks, when cramming for a cert, what is your favorite learning methodology? I learned in SANS, what is that? I think it was called like super tabs, I believe. But you would essentially create an Excel sheet with all the points, the bullet points, and you just have a bunch of sticky note tabs that would be all on the side of it, so that way you can be able to quickly reference. Joseph, you're massively in school. What's your favorite way of learning or cramming for an exam or test?
Last second.
Sounds about right.
It's the only way.
When you cram, I never suggest cramming. When you cram, you are putting it in your brain long enough to puke it on the test and then pass on to the next one. I try not to cram. I have crammed, especially for some of my harder tests. But I always find that I have to go back and relearn the content after I've crammed. But cramming, I will definitely, I will take a day or two, like before the test, and I'll pull up practice tests, and I'll have flashcards, and I'll have videos on the content that I'm least comfortable on, and I will just go through and do it over and over and over again until I can, at the very least, recognize it from a memorization standpoint. I may not actually understand the concept, but I know that if I see the question on the test, I'm going to get it right. And that's how you cram. I mean,
I just posted in the chat. It is, for what we learned, is actually called the pancakes method. So I forgot that's what it was called, but yeah. If you're interested in that, learning more about that, but it's like I've discussed before many times, it really depends on your learning style, right? So if you're more of a visual, then you're going to need to space out what your consumption for those videos and being able to do the labs and things of that nature. Or if you're a crammer, or if you're physical or whatever, then you have to figure out your learning style. We are coming up to the bottom of the half hour. To be respectful of everybody's time, including our wonderful guest Matt Hat, please post your last and final questions in here. We'll kind of go through blitz style, and we'll let everybody get back to their day. I'm just checking mod chat to see if there's any questions I have missed.
I don't think so right now. Oh, Jenny Housley wants to know if learning SQL would help with Splunk queries.
Yes and no. So the programming language SQL will not transfer over to
it's not one-to-one
Splunk, but being able to learn how to do the join commands and doing filtering and things like that will help you with Splunk. So that mindset, that mentality will help you with that effort and understanding, parsing your results. But it's not like a one-to-one relationship or ratio. I need more coffee and vodka.
Agreed.
Phil said conceptually. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Conceptually. Thank you, Phil.
Look at Austin trying to start something here with certs or degrees.
Ooh, certs or degrees.
Both. Get them all.
Both or neither. However you want to do it.
Come on, Team Certs.
All right. Right before we wrap up, I think we have one more question in here. Can we get to this one? Oh, okay. Well, here we have a couple. They're going for the GSEC. Can they reasonably expect to pass the SEC Plus within 2 weeks?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Yes, there you go.
Even if you're cramming for that thing with one of the crash courses, yeah.
Yeah. And I think there was a question too asking what cert will Mad Hat be looking to do next?
Oh, the OSCP.
OSCP.
Yeah, it's a lot harder. It's hands-on. I just gotta get myself to do it.
You can do it. Yep. You got it. Yeah, Savannah Lazara, someone that I know who's she's actually transferred over to Amazon now, I think, or AWS. But yeah, she got hers. I want to say maybe about a year or so ago, and it was was excellent. A nice journey she went on to get that. And I think actually now too, our friend Stacy Loki, didn't she just get? Was it the OSCP? I think.
Did she go down the path? I forget.
Yeah, she was going for some of that. So very cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Mad Hat. I think we're going to start doing this every Friday is what Jerry wants to do, having the panel talks come on. So if you're open and available, we'd love to have you come back.
Yeah, I don't know if it can be every Friday. This is
early
in my time. I had to get up a little early. I start work soon, but
no, of course.
I'd love to come back on.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're telling me you're not on the East Coast?
I am not. I'm
I didn't want to OSINT him. I'm just
else.
confirming.
Right?
It doesn't dox me exactly, but it narrows it down.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I was on the West Coast for RSA a few weeks back, and I don't ever miss this show at all. I moderate, so I'm behind the scenes, sending the chats over to Jerry and stuff, and during the news, and the whole week I was out. Like I could not get up and make it for on the West Coast time. So yeah, that's a hard one. But we have a lot of people here from the West Coast. They check in every morning, so very cool.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We do greatly appreciate it. And thanks once again to Mad Hat. We definitely look forward to having him back on again for our panel discussions. Please remember, if you are enjoying this content, please share it with somebody. Let them know about this. It's out here, and we'll see everybody on Monday. Y'all take care.
Content. Keep the cybersecurity train going by connecting with the other Simply Cyber community resources. We have the Discord server that's lively and always keeps the conversation going. You can connect with me directly on LinkedIn. And also every single weekday morning on the Simply Cyber channel, we're doing live daily cyber threat briefings, 8 a.m. Eastern time, as well as Thursday at 4:30 p.m. We're doing live stream interviews with industry experts, and we produce videos that we push out every Wednesday morning. I'm Jerry from Simply Cyber. I hope you enjoyed the content, and we'll see you in the next one.